This video is going to cover the Hydrate Lab. The Hydrate Lab is an important lab in chemistry. It's an important lab in Chem 1 and in AP Chemistry. Matter of fact, if there was only one lab that you were allowed to do in chemistry, I would choose the Hydrate Lab. Now, many salts readily dissolve in water to form solutions. When the water is allowed to evaporate from these solutions, salt crystals reappear. Oftentimes, some types of crystals actually hold a fair amount of water within their crystalline structure. Those are called hydrates. So here's a picture of a hydrate. It's a crystal, and inside these little crystals here, it has water trapped inside of them. Okay, here's a list of different types of hydrates, and they have their own set of nomenclature for naming them. For example, this is called barium chloride dihydrate, calcium chloride dihydrate. These are desiccants. Sodium carbonate monohydrate, iron 3 chloride hexahydrate, and magnesium sulfate heptahydrate. These are Epsom salts, by the way. So notice that there's a little dot here. Now, that does not mean multiply. You don't take iron 3 chloride and multiply it by 6 waters. It's just a little dot to separate the anhydrous salt, that means without water, and the amount of water that's trapped inside the hydrate. Okay, so what you're going to do in this lab is real simple. I'm going to give you a sample of hydrate. It's going to be copper 2 sulfate blank hydrate. That's your job in this lab, is to figure out what this X vector is. Okay? Now, the first thing you're going to do is take a crucible and find its mass. Write that down. Then come see me. I will give you a sample of the hydrate. Put it in the crucible, find its mass, write that down. Then you're going to heat it. What do you think is going to happen when you heat this hydrate? That's right. All of that water right here is going to leave, which is just going to leave you with copper 2 sulfate, the anhydrous salt. So once you do that, let it cool for a little bit. Put it on the balance, find its mass. Then you'll have, in your data table, the mass of the entire hydrate, the mass of the anhydrous salt. Well, if you subtract those two guys, won't that give you the mass of water? And then if you'll remember, in this class, 98% of the time, if you have grams, what do? Convert it to moles. So then you can figure out how many moles of copper sulfate you have, how many moles of water you have, and that can get you your mole to mole ratio. These are all mole to mole ratios: 1 to 2 mole ratio, 1 to 1 mole ratio, 1 to 6 mole ratio. Your goal in this lab is to figure out what this ratio is right here of water compared to the anhydrous salt copper 2 sulfate.